One of my patrons requested a video all about cross-promotional wrestling events, and I do take requests from my patrons. In fact, I have made that exact video, but you won't find it here on the YouTube channel. That's because it's exclusively available to my patrons, along with more than 200 videos you'll never see here on the channel. But I wanted to give you a sneak peek into what that video contains. I'm Mike Quackenbush, you are one of my loyal patrons, and this video is a Patreon exclusive video. This particular exclusive was requested by Matthew. So I'm dedicating this one to loyal patron Matthew. Thanks for the idea. I want to talk about cross-promotional events, the advantages, the disadvantages, and some tips and tricks I have for organizing and booking one of these events. But just so we're all starting on the same page, I want to quickly define that separate from a double header. So a double header involves two pro wrestling organizations working together. And to help things along, I decided to ask Leonardo AI to make me a logo for Dirty, Rotten, Filthy Outlaws of Wrestling. This is what it came up with. It's everything I ever wanted. And to come up with a logo for wrestling organization number 2, Femme Fatales Pro Wrestling. Oh, AI, you nailed it. It's great. In this case, these two organizations are putting on a double header. And that means one of them is going to present their show and then the other presents their card of wrestling. Maybe the Outlaws are going to go in the afternoon and the Fatales are going to go in the evening. In this case, you might choose to put on a double header because it represents a savings for some of the high-ticket items on a wrestling budget. That might include the rent of a venue. If you're going into a very pricey venue, maybe it makes more sense for two wrestling organizations to share that cost, and then one goes early, one goes late, but they separate their cards entirely, but save on the venue rent. Maybe you have to hire a ring because your wrestling organization doesn't own one. So if the Outlaws have to rent a ring and the Femme Fatales have to rent a ring, well, they could maybe pay just one ring rental fee, but use it for both the events of a doubleheader. Or even to save on marketing. Maybe the Outlaws put all of their marketing on one side of a postcard, a flyer, handbill, and on the other side is all the advertising for the Femme Fatales card that follows. These are just some of the reasons why a double header might be a choice. But a double header is not necessarily a cross-promotional event. A cross-promotional event, a collaboration between two wrestling organizations, means that the talent will be mixed on the same card. So that's different from a double header. So leaving behind the beautifully generated artwork of the Outlaws and the Femme Fatales for a moment, let's imagine that wrestling organization A is putting on a cross-promotional event with wrestling organization B, and we got to mix the talent together. I've absolutely produced these types of events myself. Going back 15 or 20 years ago now, I can think back to the 2-day event I staged where Chikara teamed up with Big Japan Wrestling to produce an event called the Global Gauntlet. I'm pretty sure this was back in 2008. So here, we commingled the talent from these two wrestling organizations. Or just a few years later, on an even larger scale, I produced a cross-promotional tour called Joshi Mania. And maybe sometime I'll make you a separate video all about Joshi Mania. If you're curious how much money that tour lost, the answer is all the money. All the money there is, we lost it. Anyway, at that cross-promotional event, not only did we have, I think, 7 different Joshi organizations from Japan, but Chikara was in the mix as well, making for an 8th organization if I have that count right. The layers of complexity, as you can imagine, were exponentially higher. It's one thing to get 2 wrestling organizations to agree on anything. Now try getting 7 or 8 of them to agree on everything. So what can you do here? If you've got this at your doorstep and you've got to deal with it, this cross-promotional event is happening, I want to advise you of this. Whatever the booking needs and or requirements of each wrestling organization might be, you want to get crystal clear on them before you set anything in stone. Don't rent a venue and put a deposit down. Don't start buying plane tickets. Don't start any of that official type stuff during the brainstorming phase, because if you want to see the other 2/3 of that video, is waiting for you right now over on my Patreon. Follow the link, which is down below. In the descriptus, it will take you right there. And at even the lowest level of support, which is just $5 a month, you'll unlock all 200 plus Patreon exclusive videos. It's a massive leveling up of your wrestling education, and you can start right now. Get going, jump on that link. I'll see you over on Patreon.